Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
$11:06 on The Lock Shop. Thank you very much for being here on Edmonton Sports Talk today. If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, thank you very much for being here. And tell your buddies how easy it is to stream our station on TuneIn, on iHeart, or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. If you're watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. Give us a sub to the channel as well. And we'll get into that. I see Jake over there saying, don't forget the Lock Shop Poker Series returns Tuesday, September 24th. Tournament is live and open for registration now. We did hit that yesterday. We'll continue to push this leading up to the tournament. We're very much looking forward to it. It'll be going down next Tuesday night. Just go to coolbet.com, snag the poker software, and then just search Lock Shop, pops up. You can register for the tournament, and it's going to be good. We're going to dive into NFL today. We're going to take a look at some Canadian Football League stuff. Huss and I got to get into this Bombers-Elks game. We'll certainly go there. NHL camps opening up as well, Huss. Busy time for sure. And the morning after the Estes, an event that you have to be here for next year, buddy. You would not have believed the show that was put on last night. Just terrific.
Listen, I had a great night of my own last night in the Peg, but I definitely did have a heavy dose of FOMO. Looking at the pictures, the fellas cleaned up pretty good too.
Looked real nice.
Everyone looking great. An amazing crowd. It just speaks to the work that you guys have done in the community and the incredible passion that the Nasties have for the new look Edmonton Sports Talk. It was amazing. How was everybody feeling this morning? Was it the usual chipper crew, or were people dragging it a little bit from having too much fun at the Estes?
It was a good idea that we did not have the morning show today. YouTube Trev and Eric are probably feeling it the most. I'm going to be honest. I'd rather still be laying in bed this morning. But it was a good time.
Show today?
No, it was our first ever, and it was planned. It was our first ever EST stat this morning, and we didn't start till the hangout today at 9:00, and then we all sort of were in on the hangout, kind of rotated everybody through.
Yeah.
It was probably better off. It was a good night, man. Let's just say that it was a phenomenal night. Huge thank you to like the 200 people that came out, and the after party was awesome. And all in all, it's just a terrific way to celebrate your first year. You know, it was a lot of fun.
Where was the after party? Did you guys just rage at the theater?
We went to Hudson's. Hey, Trev, is autoplay turned on for all the shows to go over to the next one? Okay, he's going to do it. We went down to one of our partners, Hudson's, which we do some pre and post games at, and it was funny. It would have been really weird for people. So our show, the Estes, wrapped up around 9, which was a perfect 2-hour show. It was great. We all headed down to Hudson's. I probably got there. I don't even know what time I got there, but there was already, I don't know, probably 80 to 100 people from the Estes had worked their way over to Hudson's. And shout out Hudson's for having like the staff. Like, it was not your typical Tuesday night. So they kept we drank them out of 6 o'clock or lager. That's for sure. I don't know if we drank them out of the Birdie booze as well. I had a few of those shots. But it was phenomenal. And like the 3 or 4 like regulars who probably sit there on Tuesday night at the bar up the wood and like just sort of chill and are relaxing from the day, they must have been, what the hell is going on tonight? Because you could tell there was like 4 tables that weren't us, and we had the rest of the place packed. So it was it was a fun night. The after party was excellent as well. So
how long was the line at the Tom Gazzola kissing booth?
It always does very well. Let's just say that. It always does very well.
We could raise thousands for charity by monetizing that a little bit more. No, listen, it looked awesome. Very quickly, what was the highlight award, or like what stood out of the actual Esties?
Geez, we had 2 live musical performances. So those were both amazing. Josh Clausen, who's a CTV weather legend in this city. He's a big AM nasty. He also has been a rapper for like 20 years. And right. him and Zacticum have had a rap beef on the Hangout. And they buried the hatchet last night and did a live rap performance on the stage at the Esties. It was terrific. One of the sons of one of the Nasties performed our Nasty Bash song live acoustic guitar. It was terrific. It was, buddy, you had to be there to understand. It was a fully licensed theater, so some drinks were flowing. It was Marshall and the Muds presented Rookie of the Year. Jaunty, do you know what yeah, they presented last night. They were on the stage. It was terrific. Atif won, and the stage is not wheelchair accessible, so we picked him up on his wheelchair, lifted him onto the stage. He did a speech that was great. I think the best acceptance speech of the night, though, Jaunty in Victoria, who's produced a few songs for us, does a lot of stuff, 6 o'clock, a bunch of stuff. He ended up winning Original Song of the Year, one of the final awards of the night. He had drove in from Victoria for the Esties, wins the Song of the Year, goes up, delivers this amazing, amazing speech. And like his dad passed away a couple of weeks ago, and he grew up in the neighborhood where the theater is that we were having the event. So it was like emotional. YouTube Trev was basically crying during his acceptance. Like it was just, man, it was it was amazing. Like I can't even wait for Estes 2. I don't know how we topped the first one. It was incredible. It was a real fun.
Well, as I say, count me in for next year.
Yeah.
Let me know when it is. We'll start making the.
Well, I'm gonna try to arrange it so we can have it on a Friday next year. Let's just say that. I think probably a better idea. I'll make sure I just take whatever game I'm on that week. I'll just take it off. The Esties have to be on a Friday. The Tuesdays were a memorable one, but it's made for a long week. So yeah, it's gonna be a good
weekend gala. Well, we got to get back to it because we got some. What's the buzz like around Edmonton for this Bombers Elks game on Sunday? Great to see the crowds have been getting better as the team has gotten better. Go figure.
Yeah. What are the odds?
Yeah. What are the odds? I cannot wait for Saturday night. I think this is one of the most interesting games of the entire year in the Canadian Football League, considering there's been so much play within the West, with the exception of these two teams going head to head. And saw the CFL power rankings come out as 1 versus 2 right now.
1-2.
Bombers and Montreal have, the Bombers and Elks have jumped Montreal. And there's so much to play for both of these teams.
I had people texting me, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before. And they were just like, hey, do you have a line on tickets? Like, I want to bring my family. I know you guys have been talking. I said, 2 years ago, we could get tickets whenever we wanted. They were just like, here, come to the game. Please come to the game. I said, but there's a good buzz for tickets. Like people who haven't been to a game yet are like, it's time. I want to get my family down to Commonwealth. It's a Saturday. It's 5 o'clock. If the Elks can win this game on Saturday, they're in the conversation to possibly finish first in the West still, which is, that's insane. If they lose it, they're still technically out of a playoff spot. So, and if the Bombers win this game, it gives them some breathing room for first place in the West. So I cannot wait to be there to call this game in front of hopefully an almost packed lower bowl and a legitimately meaningful game between the Double E and the Bombers. It's going to be outstanding. I cannot wait.
Well,
if you are around, I think the weather's supposed to be like 17 and sunshine. It's just perfect fall football weather. It's going to be a glorious day, buddy. Terrific day.
Well, and we kind of were talking about this the second this line went out, that we were sort of surprised that the Bombers were laying 3.5 as a road favorite. And if you like that number and you want the Elks, get on it then. That was very astute. This thing has just been getting chipped away. It went from 3.5 to 3 to 2.5. Checking right now, down to 1.5 for the Bombers. And
holy smokes.
For the Bombers. The money line right now for Winnipeg is -133. For the Elks is +110. And the total for the game is 50. To me, this is a money line play, though. And I think it will be even more so if this point spread continues to come down. I mean, we could see it getting close to a pick'em and, maybe having like a -120 even money sort of situation going forward. It is the main event of the week in the Canadian Football League, and there are some big games. I know you guys will have the picks tomorrow. Maddie's going to be jumping in for me when we're down at Jet Training Camp doing some stuff with Shovel Day Off and Scott Arneal. But I got to tell you, both games that you're doing this weekend in the Canadian Football League are absolutely massive. And I know we've sort of been talking about this for the last month plus. I cannot remember a season like this, maybe ever, that it's so tight at this point with all of the teams in the West. And just the crazy starts of both of the teams that are now the hottest teams in the league, that both have their eyes on first place after being seemingly out of it after like halfway through the season.
So many good storylines for this game. And Hutz, let's just continue to set this one up. So the Elks come into this game with the best offense in the Canadian Football League. Bombers' offense has kind of been stuck in neutral a lot of the year. Bombers' defense is terrific. There's the Ford brother angle. They've both been on EST afternoons this week. They had Tyrell Ford on yesterday. Where's the separation, you think? In a line that's moving almost towards a pick'em, but what's the separation?
Well, I think, listen, we'll find out, I guess, because neither of these teams have played each other. And again, they're very different teams than they maybe were earlier on in the season. The thing with the Bombers, and I think we've seen this, especially through those two games against Saskatchewan, is that the Bombers are experienced and they're incredibly well-rounded. Their offense it hasn't been particularly dynamic, but they've been able to move the football and put some points on the board. The defense has been incredibly stingy and opportunistic. And the Bombers are getting back to playing the sort of football that they've had, that they were known for, which is taking care of the football, winning the turnover battle. And the Bombers' special teams, with the exception of any sort of dynamic run game, return game, the coverage units have been good, and the kicking game has been absolutely phenomenal. And it's something that honestly does not get enough attention, but it can also often be the difference between wins and losses. So, I think the Bombers need to go in and play their game and be that well-rounded team. Their defense is going to be challenged, though. Now, I'll ask you this. What do you think? What are you expecting from Trey Ford coming in? Because this isn't like before where he was coming and they basically had to go to him because the team was struggling and they can't win a football game. He's coming in now after a period where MBT and the offense was absolutely lighting up their opposition. It's a very different scenario, I would say, going in. And I wonder whether, the leash is shorter for Trey Ford. If things don't go well, do they go right back to MBT? Because as I talked with Maddie, and I know he's the president of the Trey Ford fan club. He is. He wasn't thinking that Trey Ford was coming in after the way MBT played in the last couple of games.
You're right. And if they would have, and they announced that they were going back to Trey like right after that last game, before the bye week, everything, right? So, they obviously still view him as their guy. MBT has been pretty good as of late. I'll be fascinated to see how Jarius Jackson handles it if Winnipeg comes out here and it's 21-6 at halftime, and Trey hasn't got the offense really clicking yet. Will he go to MBT with how important this game is? It's not like it's this is a huge game as they continue to fight for their playoff lives. So there's not a lot of wiggle room here for Trey to step in and not have success right away. But he's looked good in the small sample size that he's had so far this year. He has looked good. He's going to cause some issues with his legs. I thought in the start and a half that he had, I thought he should have ran the ball a little bit more. Like there were a couple of times where he got out of the pocket, was on the run, and could have easily picked up 10 to 15 yards, but he was trying to look down the field and gun it down there. So, we'll see what his mindset is going into that game. But as soon as they announced I was already thinking, I was like, man, Willie Jefferson, Trey Ford, I know Willie's not the guy who's going to track him down, but I know he's going to cause a ton of problems for him. And that'll probably force Trey to have to run and scramble a little bit more, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world. So, but now it is crazy that him and his brother are going head to head, and his brother has become an absolute sensation in that secondary for the Bombers.
Corner in the league this year. Best corner in the league this year in the CFL.
I think
speaking of that,
100%.
I need a prop. I'm going to talk to Jake and Patty. I need a prop on a Tyrell Ford pick on his brother Trey. Like that. I mean, think about the sibling rivalry. Like these guys have been playing against each other for years. And Trey probably thinks he can get him. Tyrell probably thinks he can get him. I'd love to know what that number is. I mean, it says 6 picks so far this season. I know there's not normally an interception prop for any particular players, but for this particular game, I would love a little special in that game.
That would be good.
Tyrell Ford interception in the game. I guess not.
Well, we should build a Ford brothers parlay.
Yes.
Right. We should put that in. If they can get us a number on a Tyrell Ford interception, and then we take Trey Ford over 1.5 passing touchdowns and over 35 rushing yards, but also for him to throw a pick to his brother. If we could make that work. I don't know if I know Jake's watching. Jake, let us know can we get a number on this?
An Edmonton Ford prop and a Winnipeg Ford prop.
Yeah.
My prop is going to be a pick for Tyrell Ford, and then you guys put together something for Trey.
That. Good idea.
And we'll see who the brother that's standing tall. I'm gonna have to go back and check out the Fords they were on with Hernan and Gager.
Yeah, they were on with Hernan and Gager. Trey was on Monday, and then his brother was on yesterday. I think around like 1:20ish. So you can find that on yesterday's show.
YouTube. Yeah, I'd be very interested to hear kind of what those two are saying about the matchup. And I mean, what are your thoughts on this Calgary Sask game? Calgary 2.5 point home dog.
I have no idea.
Saskatchewan hasn't won in 2 months, and they're a road favorite. I mean, figure that one out. But again, Calgary's really been struggling. To me, this is the Saskatchewan Roughriders season. If they lose this game, I don't think there's much of a path for them to make the playoffs. Unless they get a lot of help from the Bombers and they sweep Edmonton, which I think is unlikely.
I have no idea what to expect in that game. It is. I was gonna say it's weird that a team that hasn't won in 2 months is a 2.5 point favorite on the road, but I also don't think I could see Calgary being a favorite in this game. Now, Calgary did just play the Alouettes very hard and probably should have won that game and shot themselves in the foot a few times to ruin their chances. Like they should. So I got into this. I guess it was with Calgary last year at the beginning of the year where I just kept thinking to myself, at least, and probably saying in like some radio hits and stuff, that I thought Calgary was a much better team than their record led us to believe last year. And they just never really came to be. So I sort of moved off of that this year with the Stamps. And I'm about to say the same thing here with the Riders. Like the Riders are a better football team, in my opinion, still than a team that hasn't won in 2 months. It just,
I agree.
It sounds crazy to say that, but I still think they're not a bad football team, man. I mean, they've lost some close games. It's kind of like the Elks in the first 7 games of the year where they were better than that 0-7, and the Riders are better than a winless team in the last 2. I know Riders fans probably don't want to hear that right now, but you agree?
I 100% I agree. I mean, I still can't believe they lost both of those games to Montreal. They played the Bombers really tough. I mean, both of those games were tight. I mean, they sort of have just been finding ways to lose, much like Calgary found a way to tie in a game that they probably should have closed out 4 or 5 times down the stretch. Anyways, it's going to be a great, great weekend in the Canadian Football League. Tomorrow, the picks will be made official, but right now, Argos 7-point favorites over Hamilton. Riders 2.5-point road faves in Calgary. Same number, Montreal 2.5-point road favorites in Ottawa. And the Bombers, who opened as 3.5-point road favorites, now down to 1.5 against the Edmonton Elks. Hey, while we're talking about Canadian football, I should mention Vanier Cup odds are out at CoolBet. And I think I moved a line in a significant way yesterday. I was digging around the U Sports futures, and I'm looking at the Vanier Cup odds. And yesterday, they had Alberta at 18-1. They had UBC at 30-1, and the Bisons, who are 3-0 and have beaten both of those teams, were 50-1. And I think they should be in the top 5. Like, I'm not sure whether they were just sleeping on the Bisons or what, but I did a little tweet saying, heads up, brown and gold fans. If you want to put a little sprinkle on the Bisons, this is a great time to do it. They're at 50-1. And now I look at it and they're 30-1. So
I love you moving the line on U Sports football futures. That's what the Lock Shop is about. That's why the Lock Shop should have been up for show of the year at the Estes. You know, it's just we're the most disrespected duo in the business right here.
It was a geographical discrimination is what it was. It's held against me and I wasn't able to be there. But yeah, so anyways, Laval, no surprise, Laval's the favorite, plus 250. You got Western and Montreal at plus 275, and then Laurier at 5-1. But the Bisons are no joke. They've got a great quarterback, and it does kind of feel, part of the reason why I jumped on it, it feels like there could be like a storybook season here. Brian Dobie, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Coach Dobie, but the loquacious head coach of the Bisons has been with the team for, I want to say, 27 years or so. He announced his retirement before this season. So everyone knew that this is Coach Dobie's last ride. And, you know, they started off with a win against Sask. They then go to UBC where they hadn't won in 11 years, get the win. And that, I don't know if you saw the end of that Alberta-Manitoba game on Saturday. It was incredible. Alberta down 7, drives the field in the final 30 seconds, scores a touchdown. They go for 2. And the Bison cornerback breaks it up and they win 24-23. Huge crowd at Princess Auto Stadium as well. It seems like the success of the Bombers, I think, is sort of really helping bring up the support. It was the homecoming game too, but it was as good of a crowd I've seen for a Bison game in forever. And they're 3-0 right now. So you can still get them at 30-1 if you're in the Winnipeg area. I want to put a little sprinkle on the Bisons, but we don't often hit the U Sports futures, but they're up right now, and I thought they were pretty intriguing considering what the team around my parts has done so far this season.
It is funny. You Chaz is in the nasty chat and says there was some real disrespect the Lock Shop last night. Now, when they did announce the nominees for Show of the Year, I'm pretty sure somebody did yell out Lock Shop. Like, so thank you very much for that. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it. Tyrell said if he gets the interception, he's keeping the ball. LOL. I absolutely love it. But yeah, we'll be talking a lot about that. We're actually going to have Ed Tate on from the Bombers to get the latest on the squad now that they're back at practice, coming off the bye week, heading into this huge game on Saturday night.
I took a quick look at the NFL odds, and Huss, I mean, if you're not going to be on with us tomorrow, any of your thoughts on the Thursday nighter that we can pass along, myself and Maddie, tomorrow as we build this? One of the Cool Bet boys will hop on tomorrow as well as we get you ready for the Patriots and the Jets in the Thursday nighter.
Yeah, let's pull this up right now. This was 6.5. It's Jets by 6 right now. Money line plus 230 for the Pats. Jets minus 278. Total, very low total of 38.5. I'm just looking here. Well, we've already got rushing totals right now. Ramondre Stevenson, 67.5 yards, and it's juiced to the over at minus 123. Listen, Stevenson's had a great start to the year. I'm really interested to see what this Jets defense is able to do. I just think back to how badly they got gashed by the Niners in the first week. And, that's a defense that cannot be getting run all over. I mean, they need to stop the run, force them to throw and, engage the likes of Sauce Gardner a little bit more. I think that the Jets, listen, I'm thinking about this under 67.5 on the Ramondre Stevenson rushing yards, because I really do think that's going to be a focus for the Jets defense. And I think they'll try and sort of force Jacoby Brissett to throw the football a little bit more, because their bread and butter so far this season has been the running game. That Braylon Allen's 20 years old?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just 20 years old. Youngest guy to score a touchdown. Was it ever, or was it just in a long time?
Years.
Yeah.
I mean, what a specimen that guy is. TD scorer props, no surprise that Breece Hall is at minus 175. I think the guy that I'm going to be looking at is Garrett Wilson again. He and Aaron Rodgers are really developing a pretty lethal chemistry. Lazard at 3-1 actually might be half decent value. We know Rodgers likes his guys, and Lazard is definitely one of his guys that's there right now. But, to me, when I look at this, I look at the top two dogs, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. But I do like the Jets. I'm still high on them. Obviously they got their win in Tennessee last week. For me, this is a chance for them to get going at home and fire it up with Aaron Rodgers doing it at the MetLife Stadium. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Breece Hall, but Garrett Wilson's the guy that I'm going to be looking very closely at. Speaking of Braylon Allen, where is he at for an anytime touchdown?
3-1, I think. I think he's 3-1 on the touchdown.
Oh yeah, there he is. 3-1. Huge number for Breece Hall, like at minus 175. It's kind of tough at that number maybe to include it, because obviously it can go the different ways. But I think Garrett Wilson does it in prime time. Love the anytime touchdown for him at plus 138. And I think I'm going to follow it at least, but I will consider jumping on the under 67.5. And who knows, considering that it's already minus 123, that number might actually go up and get closer to 70. And at that point, we can take the under on as well. But I really do think the Jets focus on Ramondre Stevenson and, really try and limit the damage they've done on the ground, because it has been impressive so far. That was a guy that in fantasy I was not taking. I just thought that this offense was going to be so impotent that even if he was playing well, they'd just be able to stack the box. So far, that hasn't been the case, or he's just been able to run right through it. So I'm interested. And as far as the game goes, I mean, I'm still high on the Jets. I think they might be a little undervalued just because people remember how they got steamrolled by the Niners in week 1. But they've come back, and listen, I still think New England is very much a work in progress. So I'll probably lay the points with the Jets in this one, although it is a big number for one of those divisional matchups.
I know.
I don't
when you're
it.
like the total's not very high, so they're not expecting like I don't know. I think I might lean towards Patriots. I don't see like it's not a money line play, no chance, but the 6. I have to dive into it a little bit more tonight before we get to our official Thursday night football picks tomorrow. But I'm a little tempted by the Patriots 6 here. We will spin the NFL wheel tomorrow to see if it goes 2 weeks in a row. So be ready for that on the Nielsen show tomorrow. And Jake, I think, was just texting or emailing me about Dusty's fanny picks. And fanny picks will be conducted here over the next, 18 hours or so. I'll be submitting the video to Jake, and he'll get up on the CoolBet socials. I'm sure it'll launch what'll be a lifelong trend on TikTok. And before you know it, everybody will be doing fanny picks. It's the beginning of something. It's the beginning of something.
Fanny picks. I can't wait to see this executed. And as I say, open for you to bring the fanny pack to the lock shop at some point if we maybe need to call on some higher powers to give us a little mojo heading into the week. Have you? Are there any games right now just of this slate that sort of, or maybe make you think that it's time to get in early before lines move as we get closer? We have seen that line move at least a half point right now. Just going down this.
The Chargers Steelers lines moved a half point. That was Chargers at 2 when we did our little early bird parlay yesterday. It's now at +1.5. So that's moved a little bit in their favor. I don't think anything else is.
I can't get over this Malik Willis revenge game with the Packers going to Tennessee to take on the Titans. And what's it? The new head coach Callahan. It looks like he's done with Will Levis already. I mean, or he's just pulling his hair out because Levis is making 1 or 2 absolutely boneheaded plays a game that that made him that drive him nuts. But that was the case with Willis before when they actually put him into a game. He could barely complete a pass. Going to be a lot of Josh Jacobs, I think, again on the weekend. I now that they've got the tape, though, I mean, it's interesting that the Titans are still a home favorite, even with Willis, just the way that, Green Bay handled that adversity and handled the Colts last week. Like, still sort of think are a better team than the Titans right now on paper. Very interested to see how that one goes. I've got so much respect for Matt LaFleur. I still can't believe he was able to win that game. I guess the big question is, can they do it again, this time on the road with just a full run, heavy, and rush-based offense with Malik Willis in while Jordan Love, rehabs?
You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you have any sort of fantasy football questions or you got a lean that you're on tonight, feel free to share them with us. If you're watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up. Sub to the Edmonton Sports Talk channel if you have not already. If you would like to make plans for next Tuesday night, join us, Lock Shop Poker Series event number 2. It'll be going down 8 o'clock Edmonton time, 9 o'clock Winnipeg time. Bounty on my head of $100. Bounty on the head of Huss. Bounty on Matthew Iwanek, who finished 5th in the first Lock Shop Poker Series event. Yep. Bounty on Remus from Winnipeg Sports Talk, who finished 2nd in the original event. We had about 60 people in the first tournament, maybe almost 70 people in the first tournament. We're going to be doing it again. Go to coolbet.com. The easiest way to do is just download the poker software, search Lock Shop in the tournament list, and you'll find it. It's already sitting there. It's open. It's ready. You can register. It works out to about $30 Canadian for the buy-in, and it'll be a great time next Tuesday. So please join us.
It's a hell of a deal. It's a hell of a deal when you consider it because, for the €20 or $30 buy-in, obviously that all goes to the pot. And, I think the winner was close to 500 or so in the first tourney. But the fact that there are 4 individuals with $100 bounties on their heads, I mean, a really nice and generous way from our friends at CoolBet to sort of take care of the WSTers and ESTers and lock shoppers and nasties that are going to be getting on the event. We had so much fun with it last month when we did the first time. I'm very much looking forward to throwing down next Tuesday with so many of you. So yeah, get in there. The poker app, if you just download the app, like when you click on poker on CoolBet, it'll be all there. And then as Dusty said, there's a little search thing in tournaments. Just put in Lock Shop. It'll get you right in there. Reserve your spot and practice up over the weekend.
Yes.
On CoolBet. And we will see you.
I'm actually very excited already for Tuesday night. I think it's going to be a great time. I'm very much looking forward to it. Yeah.
Hey, a couple of big back-to-back Tuesdays for the EST crew.
We're going to need a Tuesday off at some point, Huss. It's just been too many things going on Tuesdays. NHL camps opening up around the league. You'll obviously have a lot more on this coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk a little bit later on. Tommy just sat down. We got Oil Stream coming up in 20 minutes. Lots to get to here in Edmonton today as well. But Huss, what's the vibe like? What's the buzz around the Jets at this point of the preseason?
I think there's a lot of excitement for camp. I think, there is a bit of a narrative out there that the Jets maybe are primed for a big step back this year. Listen, they were 4th overall in the league. So, regular season wise, I guess we'll see. I think people believe that this is, listen, as long as Connor Hellebuck and Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, they're there. This team is going to win their fair share of games. They should be able to be a playoff team. The big question as far as camp goes is who's the number 2 center, and can Brad Lambert, the former first rounder, graduate from the American Hockey League after an all-rookie team performance last year, make the club and potentially be that guy?
Can he be that guy? Do they need him to be that guy?
Well, they kind of do. Listen, the Metsnikov can play there, and he's played with Ehlers before. But a young player with the talent, the skills, and most importantly, the speed that Brad Lambert has, it's really intriguing. Chibrikov as well. He and Lambert made their NHL debuts at the end of last season, so there'll be a lot of eyes on him. Elias Salmonsson, who's come over from Sweden after winning the championship there. I think he probably starts in the American League, but we do see him at a certain point. So I think there's a real appetite for a little bit of youth to be injected in it. And we've got a new head coach too. We're going to see how Scott Arniel handles things in comparison to his old boss, Rick Bowness. That was the guy. As far as the Jets go, when it comes, I've got the CoolBet Stanley Cup odds right now.
Who's at the top of that list?
Well, who do you think's at the top of that list? Edmonton. And, you nasties have bet this all the way down to plus 680. Wasn't it like 8-1 a little while ago, or plus 850?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it'd been in the 7s for a little while. I didn't see that it had gotten to plus 680. That's a pretty big gap between them and Florida now, to be honest with you.
It is. And listen, I get it. We've seen it so many times before. Teams that, you just know they have this elite all-world talent that should maybe separate them from most of their contemporaries. And sometimes, you learn tough lessons the hard way. And I think the Oilers had done that in some previous seasons. And then to get all the way to the finish line and come up just short, to me, it does concern me, because God knows I grew up with the Oilers winning multiple cups, and in a lot of ways it ruined mine and many youngsters' childhood here in southern Manitoba. But I just have this feeling that they are going to be so much more confident and knowing so much more what it actually takes to win the Stanley Cup, to succeed in the playoffs. And I kind of think that Draisaitl and McDavid are on a mission. And what concerns me is that once these guys get it done, and I do expect it to happen in the next couple seasons, what is this group capable of coming back? We've seen Sid in I'm not already talking about repeats or multiple cups. You got to get one first, but I'm sure you agree. Like, they've done it all. The only thing they haven't done is finish the job. And I'm not at all surprised that they're the clear-cut favorite right now. And frankly, I think they should be.
It's interesting in Edmonton, and we'll see a little bit more today. Mike Hoffman was brought in on a PTO. Travis Dermott's here on a PTO. They made significant moves in the offseason. Obviously, it was a hell of a run there, and then they got poached on Holloway and and Broberg, and we'll see where it goes. We are at a spot in Edmonton right now, and I know we'll get into this on the oil stream a little bit today as far as, intriguing storylines heading into camp. But the blue line is somewhat questionable right now here in Edmonton. Like, you've got Bouchard and Ekholm. Nurse is going to miss the first part of training camp. They're just being extra cautious with him, probably get a couple of preseason games in the end. At least that's the buzz right now. That's what's been said. But you've got Troy Stetcher, Josh Brown, and Ty Emerson, who came in the Cody Ceci deal. And two of those guys are going to have to play for this team on a regular basis until they address something on the right side of the D, maybe come trade deadline, if not sooner at some point. So, I mean, what do you think about the Oilers having question marks on the blue line coming into it? Like, the offense is going to take care of business, but the blue line's always something we've talked about here, and it was so close to being good enough to win the Stanley Cup last year.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's been a step back this year, Huss.
Yeah, right now. But as I said, this team's good enough to they'll win plenty of games. They'll be in the playoffs. They'll probably have and does it even matter if they finish first in the West this team can win on the road.
Yeah.
I would be stunned if there isn't at least one, if not two, new members of the Oiler blue line once we get to the day after the trade deadline. Maybe it happens earlier in the season. Maybe they wait and accrue that cap space. Yeah. But the key thing, I know it was sour for a lot of Oiler fans to see, Holloway and Broberg go to St. Louis, but that decision was made thinking about this year and next year, having the cap flexibility to be able to make those moves and to add where the team needed and not be in salary cap hell. So it was unfortunate that happened, but to me, the blue line is not going to look at game 60 like it does in game number 1.
Yeah, I'd be stunned if it does. I'm not sure it'll be the same look at game 40 as it does in game number 1.
Speaking of game 1,
yeah,
the game 1 is Jets at Oilers.
Is that how the season opens?
Yeah.
Very exciting. Are you coming out?
October 9th. Well, if it wasn't in between, it was just so shortly after I'm coming back from Montreal.
Ah, that's right.
And then I'm going to Vegas at the end of the month for the Chiefs-Raider game. So it was tough. I came out for it last year, and it was great. That was when we high-fived each other in the airport as you got off to Winnipeg, and I went on to that plane going back to Edmonton. Hey, Rod Z in chat. Asking about Eric Comrie as the backup. The Jets signed Comrie, who everyone loves here, and actually last time he was here had great numbers. He cashed in a little bit in a deal with Buffalo, didn't go as well. He's back making, $875 or something like that. And then they signed Kaapo Kähkönen. I think it's probably more likely that Kähkönen is the guy, and partly, and this is unfortunate for Eric, but he is such a great individual, a person. He really came up through the Manitoba Moose. I think he's the perfect mentor for a young goaltender like Thomas Milic or Dom DiVincentis, who's going to be there. And if anything, I think if it's close between the two, I think he might go to the Moose just because of the effect he'll have as part of a guy that can really groom these young men to do many of the similar things that he did in trying to break through to the NHL. So I expect Kähkönen to do it, but they'll battle for it through training camp, and it could go either way. But again, when we're talking goaltending in Winnipeg, the conversation pretty much stops at Connor Hellebuck because the guy's going to be playing 65, 67, 68 games this season. Very excited to have him on my Juan Rincon Hockey League team. Once again, he's an absolute stud. I think he's been the goalie on the winning team. What's that? He just got a 93 in NHL 20.
Oh, did he?
I guess.
Okay.
The game is.
Yeah.
Announced that tonight, so.
All right. Well, that's exciting.
I got to figure out what my play of the day is for tonight too. These, it was so funny going to it yesterday. I'm going we've just been so all into football. Then all of a sudden there's no football. And you got to figure out what it is. I don't know though. We've gone back to back.
What are you looking at tonight then? Where are you leaning?
Well, I think we're going to go to the majors again. Had the Phillies last night with Zach Wheeler. By the way, did you see what the play of the day is? I had to get a little creative for the Monday. I did the head-to-head passing. Kirk Cousins over Jalen Hurts. Cousins was minus 110. Hurts was minus 120. And when the Barkley pass happened, when he dropped that pass, it was 171 Cousins, 170 Hurts.
No way.
If he catches that, we probably lose that bet by 2 yards. Instead, 0 yards, they kick the field goal, and then Cousins gets the opportunity to run down and light it up. So it should be good. I did get hosed by the Jays, though, last night. I put the Phillies, who was the play of the day, on with Toronto, and they ended up losing. How about Bowden Francis? I mean, how do we not bet this guy right now, the way he's going?
He's been phenomenal. Like in a year in which the last place Jays have not given us much to actually get excited about, that guy looks like a stud, Huss. I love it.
Well, I'm just pulling this game up because I'm very interested to see what the pitching props are for him. Francis strikeouts over under 5.5, and the over is plus 128. Hits allowed 5.5 is the number. Over is plus 130. Earned runs over 2.5, or 2.5 is the number. The under is minus 106. And pitching outs over under 18.5. I'm just going to pull up his numbers over the last number of starts have just been phenomenal. I mean, his last time out, and again, in a loss, 8 innings of no-hit ball, gives up the 1 homer, and then the bullpen blows it. Went 6 against the Phillies. You know, he's gone 7 innings or more in 4 of his last 5. Maybe we go with the over 18.5 pitching outs. I mean, even in the one game that he didn't, he went all the way through 6. Didn't have the strikeouts last game that he had a little earlier on. But if anything, he's just been dealing. I think we maybe just run with the pitching outs unless we want to take the Jays at even money, or I guess minus 101 to win the game. But it's plus 140. Plus 140 for over 18.5 pitching outs, which he's done in 4 of the last 5 games, and the one that he didn't was 18. I think we may have to take a swing at that at plus 140 today.
I love listening to you talk your way through bets, and then it's one of my favorite things. You'll start, you're kind of going boom, boom, and then all of a sudden you're like, actually, this is the one. It's I love it. It's terrific. Hey, just got a text from Pete Greggy here. I just retweeted this if you want to go find it. It's the newest slot over at CoolBet. The Big Bounty Gold. It's exclusively at CoolBet for a limited time right now. You earn 10 free spins for the game when you use the code Bounty Gold. So go check that out at coolbet.com. Slide on over into the casino there and use the code Bounty Gold. You get 10 free spins on the Big Bounty Gold slot, which is that's in Canada only on CoolBet. That's not anywhere else. It's only in Canada.
Ooh.
So, yeah, go check that out.
Check that out. Yeah. I've obviously spent far more time on the sports book and the poker than the casino. However, I have dabbled, and there is some very beauty and fun slots to bide your time if you're looking for a little extra spin. But the technology behind these games is incredible. So I'll definitely have to check that out, especially if we're going to get a few free spins. Why not?
Winnipeg Sports Talk, Huss.
Like you'll be spinning the wheel tomorrow.
I will. I will.
You know what? This is going to be fun today. Billick's going to come by. We're going to just kind of tee up the Jets training camp, get the latest on the Cole Perfetti situation. Ed Tate is going to join us from Princess Auto Stadium and fill us in on the Bombers, who are back to practice, getting ready for this huge tilt against the Elks. And then I did this interview this morning. We're going to play it this afternoon. It is honestly one of my favorite conversations I've had in a long time. Ted Irvin is going into the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame, and got a chance to talk to him about going from the St. Boniface team. What the heck were they called? It was the St. B Braves. He was at a movie with his friends, and his dad came in. They thought someone had died. No, he had been picked up by the Boston Bruins and went out there to start his career. Kind of talk a lot about his career, founding Special Olympics here. And of course, he is the father of Chris Jericho. So we got into that as well. Anyways, it's a really, really interesting interview. It's such a good time doing it. So we've got that coming up. And as I say, we'll crank out a play of the day over to Jake, and then CFL 110 coming up right after Winnipeg Sports Talk. So I know there'll be a lot of talk about these matchups this week, especially Bombers, Elks, which I cannot wait for on Saturday night.
Should be a good time, man. You have a good show today. I'll catch up with you. I guess I won't be around Friday. You'll be back on Lock Shop Friday. We'll handle it tomorrow, and then I'll talk to you on Monday.
Yeah, I send you the CFL best bets, and you send me your NFL best bets for Friday's show. Thanks again, and thanks to Matt for holding it down tomorrow. I will see y'all on Friday with some heaters for week 3 in the National Football League.
Oil Stream coming up on Edmonton Sports Talk. Huge day as camp sort of officially begins. We're going to get into that as we work our way through the Oil Stream. Myself and Tom Gazzola right away here on TuneIn, iHeart, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. If you're watching on YouTube, Autoplay will take you right on over. Oil Stream coming up right away. Check out Huss and Winnipeg Sports Talk getting going right away as well. That'll do it for the Lock Shop today. Presented to you by Coolbet. We'll talk to you tomorrow.